Hello, guys. Welcome back.
Hello, guys. Welcome back.
Hi guys, welcome to
The
our
base.
segment. Yeah, wait.
Oh my god!
Hello, guys. Welcome back to.
Oh my god! Hello, guys. Welcome back to the second. Oh, dude! Hello, guys. Welcome back to the second episode of the Bay Zone. I am your host, Yvonne, and today here with me are my two wonderful co hosts,
Belle.
This is Johnny.
and you are here listening to
The
the Bay
Bay
Zone. Okay, guys. Without further ado, let's get started with our podcast. Today's episode is titled "The Loneliness." I do want to give a full disclosure for future reference. All of the titles for our podcast will be the topics that we will be discussing. So today's topic will be the loneliness and the loneliness we feel, in general as we navigate life. I don't know who wants to start it off.
Well, Vaughn, you don't have social media, so you wouldn't know my little rant I posted yesterday. I don't know if Johnny over here has seen it, but I did go on a little rant yesterday. The loneliness you feel it kind of holds hands with, your anxiety and your depression. Even trauma that happens to people. Something personally for me is when you're hanging out with your family, with your friends. Sometimes I feel like not only am I not there mentally, but like I don't belong. You have my cousins and they're all sisters and they have sisterhood. I have my brothers and my brothers are the boyhood and it's just me by myself, and there's that feeling that I'm in a party. I'm in a social event. I'm talking to everybody. There's food going around. There's laughing. I laugh. I talk. I smile. I do all the bits. But inside, there's that feeling that you just don't belong there. And one of the things is my dad did kind of teach me to be alone. And one of the things he would consistently say to me is, "Hey, you're born alone. You're gonna die alone. You better stay happy with that because you can't count on anybody." But I think one of the main reasons of that loneliness is that you almost need to pretend to be someone different just to fit in a little bit. And I think that's what makes us feel so lonely.
Yeah, I think I definitely do relate on that note, especially with how, your dad kind of said like you have to be okay with being alone, because we were all brought in this world alone. We're gonna die in this world alone, and that's kind of how my mom raised me. You gotta be okay with being alone before you think about being with other people. And I think I got too used to being alone that even when I'm with other people, I just don't feel like I'm in, like I don't feel at peace, if that makes sense. Kind of similar to how whenever I'm like the way I feel loneliness is kind of like being a part of a friend group that has their own inside jokes, and you just kind of like you're just sitting there like, hey guys, like what are we talking about, And it's just a feeling that we all naturally feel regardless. And I think I'm not sure if most people who are listening to this today or, have ever experienced that kind of thing, or have had their parents tell them like, you gotta be comfortable being alone because, eventually you're gonna die alone. And for me, it's just simply that, you know, I say, a lot, so sorry about that. But for me, that feeling, I just, no matter how hard I push myself to be content with the people I'm around, I just can't seem to be, you know, how would I put it? I can't seem to shake that feeling of being alone, and it's just an inevitable feeling that I can't run away from.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something I know personally for me. It's this is the way I describe it is when you wake up and you go about your day. You wake up, you make your bed, you brush your teeth, you go to work, you go to school, you go and you socialize with your friends. And for me is my body is doing all that, but my head,
It feels like you're running on autopilot.
exactly. It feels like it just got left behind and it's still at my bed and I'm not there. My
Like
body
you're
is
struggling to
there.
catch up with your body.
Exactly. That's
That's
exactly.
I feel that sometimes there's times where like I feel like I'm watching myself in a third person point of view, kind of,
Me too.
you know, that I'm standing right outside of my body and I'm watching myself, you know, do these activities with people around. And I sometimes like there's times where like I'll get together with my family and I'll feel that,
Mhm.
and it's something that I really really hate feeling,
Mhm.
because I'm supposed to be enjoying the moment with my family. I'm
Mhm.
here with loved ones, and I can't shake that feeling of being alone. And another thing is, I'm not sure if this feeling of loneliness has anything to do with how, you know, I was raised. I'm an only child on my mom's side. So I'm not sure if, you know, not having someone to grow up with, or having a sibling to watch grow up, or, you
Mhm.
know, having a sibling watching me grow up, you know, had anything to do with that feeling of being alone, especially as an only child. I do have siblings on my dad's side, but again, we never, you know, they're older than me, never really had that bond kind of thing. So I think it's there could be so many factors as to why we feel alone, and the most frustrating part of it all is not being able to pinpoint why, you know. and
Yeah.
and especially for me, I hate not knowing why for everything. It's not just loneliness, it's for everything that I feel and I go through. I just hate feeling, not feeling, but like I hate not knowing why. And that's
Mhm.
something like naturally we all
Yeah.
fear, the unknown.
Yeah, I mean, you can go to therapy and like psychology 101 will tell you, oh, it's like pinpoint based on whatever you're like
Childhood
traumatized. Yeah,
trauma,
childhood
blah blah,
trauma
the
or
way we
whatever.
and honestly, like, yeah, that may be the case in some scenarios, but it's also like it's something that like it's not necessarily true. You know, you can also like you could have the best bond with your family growing up.
Mm-hmm.
You can have like I'm not gonna say picture perfect, because there's no such thing as perfect. But you can have like the ideal childhood where, you know, you have everything, and once you grow up, you just start developing that loneliness, because honestly, like how everyone says money buys happiness, it doesn't. It doesn't. It really doesn't. And you can't form happiness, and you can't form that. And you know, I'm not going to say that nobody has ever not
Mm-hmm.
felt being alone, or and props to those people that don't feel that loneliness,
Yeah.
because, you know, it's not easy
I mean,
navigating through
to
that.
be fair, I thought I was one of those people. It's like,
Mhm.
what the heck is depression? Like, like
Mhm.
you must be really, really weak or like demented to have a panic attack. And I mean, I know now, but I used to look down on people like that. And it wasn't
Mhm.
until I myself started experiencing those things later.
And that's the thing, you know, once people start experiencing what hardships other
Yeah.
people go through, that's when it hits you the hardest. Like, damn, I didn't know this is what this
Yeah.
person was going through. And for me, like I had a pretty rough childhood, and you know, my depression and everything hit me during puberty. So it
Mm-hmm.
was even worse, because I mean,
Yeah.
fluctuating hormones, emotions, and everything. And my depression hit me at the peak of my puberty.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, you know, I had a lot of people looking at me differently. I had a lot of people, you know, it felt like it constantly felt like people were walking on eggshells around me, and they
Yeah.
couldn't really talk to me like a normal human being without
Mm-hmm.
them thinking. At least this is what I interpreted it and how I saw it. It felt like people couldn't talk to me normally without them like would I feel like they feared triggering me in a
Mm-hmm.
sense. And that's kind of like, you know, the way that they talked at me instead of to me.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of made me like kind of retreat to myself and
Yeah.
just want to be alone. And I think that's just like that
Mm-hmm.
fight or flight instinct that we
Yeah.
naturally have. And again, I think it goes back to how my mom always told me. She raised me as a single mother. She taught me how to be independent. She taught me how to not depend on someone, because, you know, you know, we're gonna die alone. We were brought into this world alone. We're gonna die alone. We have to be okay with being alone. And
Mm-hmm.
that's something like right now, like I'm comfortable being alone. Sometimes I'd rather be alone
Yeah.
than to be with
Exactly.
people.
And it's kind of
And
sad.
it's kind of sad when I like there's times where like I'll be at home by myself after work, or have a day off from work, and I'll just be like, damn, my
Mm-hmm.
life is kind of depressing, you know, like I'm just alone all the time. I don't go out, I don't do anything, and that's by choice. I'm not the type of person to want to be out a lot, and I'm trying to like kind of push and challenge my comfort zone a little because I'm always at home 24/7. I don't go out. I don't like being out. um but I think again it's just because I got too like used to being at home so much that I kind of prefer that.
Yeah, exactly.
I
And
think I'm getting sidetracked, sorry.
no, it's fine. But that's the topic. It's the loneliness that you just corner yourself. And I mean, same thing with me. There's a, a point where I didn't want to go outside. I didn't want to get up. I mean, I didn't even want to go down to like cook or anything. And it's sad because you're forced to go to these family events because they're important events and you can't miss them. And you're there, but you're not all there. And it's like it feels even worse because you want to be there. I mean, these are people you love. These are people who support you. And for you to be there but not there, it just feels like it's a backhanded slap to them because you're not there 100%. You want to be. It's like you desperately, personally for me, I desperately I want to be at these family functions and I want to be there mentally because everybody's laughing, everybody's enjoying, they're taking pictures, and I don't want to take a picture. I don't want to look back 5 years later and just see how
Miserable.
the storm that was going in my head, and that's something I don't want to be reminded
I mean, for me, it's mainly like whenever I go to these events or gatherings with my family, it's just, I feel like a proper term that I could place onto this situation that I personally go through is disassociation.
of. Yeah.
Like I'll be in the moment and then I'll just like kind of like, you know, retract into my own space and I'll just fluctuate from being there to not being there to being there to not being there. And it's kind of like my way of coping and dealing with being around people because I'm so not used to being around people.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a bad thing that I don't, not, it's not a bad thing. I prefer being, I don't prefer being alone. I kind of contradict myself a lot, and it's kind of like, you know, like I want to be around people. I want to be comfortable with being around people. I want to be with friends. I want to be with my family sometimes. And there's times that I'm like just not feeling it. And it's when I'm not feeling it, it's like, for me, it's a sign that I truly need to be around more often with the people that I love, because that I take that as a sign that I'm kind of like going downhill more. And that's when I feel like, you know, like the less that I interact with people, the more I feel myself slipping into that depressive episode. And I'm going to save a little bit of that for the next episode. I believe we are talking about depression and anxiety. So I'm just going to briefly talk about how, you know, again, loneliness does tie in with like depression and anxiety. And I'll save more of that for later. But I will briefly talk about how I feel like the loneliness aspect of that. But for me, it's just like whenever I feel that loneliness the most, it's because I feel myself slowly slipping into that depressive episode, and I start kind of like isolating even more and just wanting to stay to myself. Like there has been times where like I don't talk to people, I go no contact with people, and that's the most harmful thing because there are people that genuinely want to talk to me, and I feel like I can't hold that communication and I can't be there when they're trying to be there for me.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, yeah, it makes 100% sense. I mean, personally, from my perspective, I mean, again, it's like you said, it's probably, you know, because you're an only child. I mean, I wasn't an only child, but I still feel it. But then again, I had two brothers. I didn't really have sisters. So, I mean, you'd have to ask somebody who has those siblings of same gender.
Johnny.
So I think Johnny has brothers. So, I mean, he had to tell us a little bit more about, like, hey, does not having siblings, you know,
What's your perspective on
Yeah.
this?
I was gonna talk about like my mom. You know, like have you ever had like an argument with your parents and like, oh, what are you gonna do when I die?
Yeah.
They always,
They always do
Yeah,
that.
on
Like,
spot, like they always put you on the spot. Like, what are you gonna do when I die? Like, how are you gonna like, what are you gonna do with your life without me? And it just like it brings you to this one place where like you gotta start talking, like thinking about your future and everything, and then like who's gonna raise your siblings? Since knowing me, I have like many siblings. You know, who's gonna raise them? You know, who's gonna be there when your parents are not there?
I think it kind of like when they say that, it kind of forces you to be more independent quickly.
Yeah.
And that's something that again, I'm an only child. It's always been me and my mom. She's never really, this is the first time she's actually brought a guy around and has actually, like, this guy has actually stuck. I'm not saying that my mom just,
Yeah.
goes around introducing guys. She's never done that. Like, she's dated before, but she's never, just introduced me to any guy that she dates. This is like her first serious. I'm not saying that she's not serious about the other ones, but this is the first guy
Yeah,
that
I
like
mean, it's
actually has
pretty serious.
wanting to include me, because that's
Yeah.
another thing. Her past relationships, they've only cared about her and they never really wanted to include me. He's always like made the effort to include me in everything, but it's just that kind of sense that it's always been me and my mom.
Yeah.
It's always been, I'm an only child. It's always been me and her. And she kind of like would always tell me, like, you have to learn how to do this. You have to learn how to do that. Because, I'm getting old. Or it's always like, I'm sick. What are you going to do the day that something happens?
Yeah.
Especially now, like, with the, like, I don't necessarily hate to talk about it. Because it's something that, brings, like, spikes my anxiety a little. But especially with the ice raids going around, it's just, you never know when your parents are going to be taken.
Yeah.
And for me, like, my mom's my whole world, whether I tell her on a daily basis or not.
That's another
She's my
thing.
whole world. And
Is-
it's just like, it's always been me and my mom. It's always been just me, as an only child. And the day that she disappears, whether it's because she was taken, or whether or something that happens to her that she can't be there to help me. I'm not going to say that she provides fully for me,
Yeah.
because, it's a kind of like a 50-50, like, transaction, not a transactional kind of relationship that me and my mom have, but I help her, she helps me in a way. She's helping me build my life skills and, helping me be independent. And it's always been like that. She's always told me, like, you have to fend for yourself. You can't let yourself be pushed around. You're like, in her words, no seas la pendeja de, no te dejes ser pendeja, no te dejes, no te dejes.
Yeah.
Like, it's always no te dejes, no te dejes. No seas la pendeja de fulanito or fulanita or whatever. Like, no te dejes. Like, don't let yourself be pushed around. Don't put up with people's bullshit, basically.
I mean,
And
yeah, going back to what Johnny said, I mean, you guys are right. What are you gonna do when I die? But I think from the perspective you were saying, Johnny, is as the older sibling kind of syndrome that goes around. I mean, I know because I'm the oldest, and they always tell me you got to take care of your brothers and you got to take care of them, and it's a separate kind of loneliness because I know I'm not the only one who experiences.
I mean, I can't really give much input on that because I'm an only child, but I saw it kind of in my cousin. That's why she kind of moved out and moved away from her parents, because they basically made her the parent sibling.
Exactly.
And she has two younger siblings. She has a 19-year-old sister. I think that's how old my cousin is, and a 7-year-old brother. And she's always been like the sister slash mom.
Yeah.
And I feel for her, like, she was basically stripped of her childhood. And I also, like, whenever I hear my madrina talk about life in Mexico and how she practically raised my uncle and my mom, because her parents had to work, or this and that, she raised them on her own.
Yeah.
Basically, she raised, like, my mom has told me too, like, she sees my madrina as her mom. And it's kind of, like, I feel for those older siblings that have had their childhood stripped from them, and they had those responsibilities placed on them as soon as like a younger child was introduced into the family, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely happened for me where it's like, hey, you got to take care of your brothers, and I mean, Johnny, I'm assuming you're the oldest. From what you were saying, is you have a lot of younger siblings, and what your mom was telling you.
Oh yeah, comparing myself to other people that don't have siblings, or they do, I feel like I've been doing less than them, especially like helping out like parents wise. It's okay. But I don't know. That's how life is. Just mostly comparing myself to other, you know, siblings and how they treat their um younger siblings.
And it's another topic we're gonna get into later down in the road. But I don't know if it ever happened to you guys. I mean, especially we all have parents who are, for the most part, Spanish speakers, right?
Yes.
I had this in fourth grade, and I think a lot of us relate
The
to this.
translating.
Where, hey, I need you to read me this lease document. When you're in fourth grade and you're barely still learning to read fifth and sixth grade level, they're having you read these legal documents. And if you don't read it correctly, ¿para qué vas a la escuela? O sea, eres tan menso que no entiendes en la escuela. And it's like, dude, like the thing that does to a child's brain is like, I mean, I experienced it. I don't know if you experienced
Yeah,
it.
pretty sure everyone has.
Yeah, I mean, I've had there was so many times that I have had to translate for my mom. I I'm not gonna say luckily and, make it seem like I'm, you know, better than anyone or anything, because I'm never gonna be nobody's ever gonna be better than anyone. But luckily I grew up, speaking Spanish first and reading and writing Spanish first.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually had to learn English in school when I started
Yeah,
school.
me too. Yeah.
I learned Spanish. My mom, is an immigrant. When she came here, she only spoke Spanish. So I think that's how I learned to read, write, and speak Spanish, is because I was only around Spanish speakers. And, there was times that I've had to help her translate stuff or have had to help her pronounce stuff. And even now to this day, like, there's times where she'll be like,
Yeah.
how do you pronounce this, or how do you say this, or what does this mean? And I don't want to say that like my patience has kind of like weared out to the point where like I there's times that I do kind of get frustrated having to repeat myself constantly to her. But I mean, I don't take it out on her, and I don't express that frustration
Yeah.
because I get it. Like, I was, again, once in that time where I was, you know, um struggling to even read English or speak English, because I mean, I can actually pinpoint this one time, and it was a very humiliating experience for me in school. Again, I'm not sure if you guys, like, when you guys went to elementary school, like the whole reading, like the popcorn reading where people would pick you to read the next part of the book. This actually happened to me, and it was so humiliating. I got picked to read, and my teacher made me read out loud, and I was struggling so hard to read a basic thing. And to me, I'm not going to say I only spoke Spanish, but I was still learning English. So for me, like, to be put on the spot and people just laughing at me, struggling to read, what is deemed basic and easy English, it just felt super humiliating. And I believe it was like in the third grade or second grade that happened to me. And I'm not little, but I'm still a kid, and I'm still struggling. And people just started laughing at me. My teacher put me on the spot and everything, and it was just a humiliating experience that I don't think I could ever kind of forget.
Yeah. And I mean, it just goes back. You feel so lonely. I mean, another thing is I don't know if you guys have been to Mexico. I haven't been to Mexico.
I have.
But I've been around people where the last time I was there, I was 5, and I don't even remember, so I don't think it even counts.
I mean, another thing that I can say, like, now that you mentioned being in Mexico, another thing is, like, sometimes I don't feel like I fit in here in the US, and every time that I go visit family in Mexico, I don't feel like I fit in there.
That's where I'm going.
And
when you talk to those people,
when you talk to them,
you're American. Like
you
wouldn't
how
know.
they easily can tell, like, that, like, you're not from there.
Yeah.
And it's just like, even here, like,
you're not American enough.
You're not American enough. You're not Mexican enough to be in
fit?
Mexico. You're not American enough to be here in the US. And it's just like, it goes back to that loneliness. Like, a lot of people think like, oh, it's so easy being, this race or that race or this, this and that. And, it's kind of, isolating. It puts you like in a box in a way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And that's where I was going with it, that you go with your Mexican family, and because I've experienced it before, even with friends. It was like, oh, we're over here listening to banda, reggaeton, all the Spanish music. Oh, but if you just suggest one tiny little Weekend or Drake or what other pop Taylor Swift. Oh, you're too white for us. Like, oh, now you're too bougie for us. And oh, muy
Oh, ¿quién
pipis
te
nice.
crees? ¿Quién te
Yeah,
crees?
exactly. Like, oh, ahí viene la fresa. You know, like no, like it's just music that you like.
Mhm.
And then it's like, oh, if you don't listen to our music, then are you really Mexican? Like,
Mhm.
what?
Or
It's
like
just
when,
music.
or like when they say like, oh, ponle chile, or
Yeah.
porque pediste los tacos sin,
Yeah,
sin nada,
exactly.
or, you know, that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. Like, it's just like kind of, you know, like
Yeah.
it's a preference at the end of the day.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's
But-
just like not meeting other people's standards. That's the thing.
Yeah, and that's what causes all this loneliness. It's like you don't fit in my box that I designed in my head, so I'm gonna make you stay out. And that's where you have those inside jokes when your friends like, oh well, this person doesn't fit the box that we need them to fit in.
This person
so we're
doesn't
just
fit the
gonna leave them.
personality.
Exactly, we're just gonna leave them out, and that's where that loneliness comes out. And it's like even when okay, you know what? I know I don't belong with the popular kids. I'm not a cheerleader. I'm not the whole makeup, and okay, I'm not peppy. Okay, but hey, maybe the weirdos. But even the weirdos have created their own box. It's like, hey, you know what? You can't fit in with this either. So I'm like, where do you really begin?
I think
or
also
belong?
like for me, it's like, you know, when you're with a big friend group and they're walking and you're all walking and then they just like start walking ahead of you and you're like, you guys wait up, and it's like they can't hear you. That's
Exactly.
that's sometimes how I feel. Like, you know, like I'm walking with my friends and I'm like, you know, falling a few steps behind, and they just start like it feels like for me it's just like it feels like we're still like they're still like we're walking at the same pace, but they were getting further and further and further and further
Yeah.
further away, and I'm just like struggling to keep up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely happened to me before where I've had this friend for like the longest time, 10 years. And you know what? Like best friend, cool. But every time I can think about it, it's like he always wants me to be there. Hey, you got to be here. You got to be there. And it's like, you know, like, hey, I need you to be there. Okay. And I'm there, you know, I make time for him. But when I'm there, on their phone, talking to other people, don't include me. They have inside jokes. Oh, what are you guys laughing about? Oh, you wouldn't understand. Like, what's the whole reason of you inviting me to go places if you're gonna make me feel alone? If you're gonna make me feel left out? If you're always gonna be like, oh, well, you wouldn't understand. Okay, well, then explain it to me. And then I don't want to go because of the loneliness I feel when I'm with them. Like, oh, why don't you want to go? Do you have a problem with this? Like, no. I have a problem with the fact that I feel alone every time I try to talk to you guys. And it's like cool, like we all hang out as a friend group, but it goes back to the same thing that it's like because I don't fit in this specific box that they've made in their head. Okay, you know what? Well, we've been friends for a while. We'll let you come along, but it's like you're still leaving me out, you know? And it's just I don't feel like I belong there. Even
At times,
friends
even
belong.
at times, like whenever that has happened to me, it felt more like a pity invite. Like,
exactly.
oh well, you know, I kind of feel bad that I haven't been hanging out with this friend as much, so let me invite them just so they can, like, you know.
It's like, bro, I'd rather not be invited. You know, because it just makes you feel worse. It's like, dude, like, if I'm going to be alone with you guys, I'd rather just be alone where I'm happy. You know, because you're with this group and it doesn't matter how hard you try. They're always going to have inside jokes. They're always going to make you feel like you're alone. It's like, you make yourself into like, okay, you know what? You like to go skating and you like the anime and the Stranger Things, right? I don't watch it. Oh, you need to watch Stranger Things. Well, I don't like it. Oh, well then, okay, well, your stuff doesn't matter and your stuff is lame. Like, what?
They
What
start
is
putting
that?
your interest down.
Yeah, but I'm like, okay, I'm trying to absorb your interest. The least you could do is...
It should be like, it's like I always say, everything is a two-way street, no matter what the thing is. If it's like, you know, like a work relationship, you know, romantic relationship, a friendship, you know, that kind of stuff, it is a two-way street. You can't expect me to immediately like your stuff if you're not gonna be open to liking my stuff. Or, you know, like, it's that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, that makes us feel so much more alone than, like, we already feel alone. And everybody feels it. I'm not gonna say that, hey, you know, there are some, like, maybe kids because they're busy playing, but as you get older, when you start understanding all this, like, you just start to realize that, hey, I'm more alone than I thought. Like, you could be surrounded by family, and I mean, us Mexicans, I, on my dad's side, have at least 28 cousins. On my mom's side, I haven't even counted them, but I'm pretty sure it's probably the same or more. And there's been a point where we've all been together. I mean, I threw a party and there was 300 guests, all that I knew, friends and family, and yet still I felt like I was the only person in the room. Like I was just alone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you can have so much family and friends and you still feel alone. And the more you get older, the more you realize like, hey, like I'm more lonely than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like I mean, what can we do? What can we do? I mean, what do you do when you feel alone, Johnny?
I don't know. For me, I just go to the gym. What else do I do? I don't know. I always put myself into sports. I always find myself. I don't know. What do you guys do?
I just throw myself into series and movies and just
I just kind of
dive.
listen to music or try to distract myself. I play a lot of Marvel Rivals, so that's where I spend most of my time doing, or I just sadly fall asleep. I
Yeah.
just sleep a lot because I have so much downtime after work that I'm like, what do I do? You know, like I can't really go out. I can't really do this. I can't really do that. So I just, you know,
Sorry, guys. Johnny dropped something. He's picking his nose. Sorry, guys.
sorry guys.
He dropped his
See.
booger blanket. It's napkin. Sorry.
Um, but yeah, I think, not only that, I mean, the other times that I have felt alone is kind of like feeling like the odd one out in the family, you know, like the black sheep, like
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Sometimes I feel judged by my own family when they should be, more accepting in a way.
Not only that, but you've seen like actual black sheeps of the family start to
Mhm.
judge you.
Mhm.
I've had it done to me. I'm like, what? It's like
Yeah,
you don't
it's
remember what you did?
like for me it's just like simply like again going back to like how I had a rough childhood and then getting diagnosed with depression. My own family kind of like started treating me differently in a way, and it made me feel so alone. Like I thought, my family would be my own support group. That's to be expected, right? Your family is going to be your family. They're supposed to be there to like
Yeah.
not protect you but support you and be someone that you could fall to whenever you feel down. And for me that was not really the case. For me, like my
Mm-mm.
parents would always tell me like, oh, if you feel sad, do you want to go to the hospital, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it
And it
comes.
just kind of like made me like not want to communicate my feelings in a way.
Yeah.
It just made me just want to stay quiet and made me stay to myself and just you know stay to myself.
Yeah.
And the same thing, like my family would, there was one time I remember this, my dad didn't really want to tell me that my brother-in-law had passed away because I recently had been diagnosed with depression. I was still handling that, and they didn't really want to tell me that my brother-in-law passed away, and it made me feel like, you know, my family's just keeping secrets and they don't want to tell me anything because they're afraid of how I'll react. And it made me feel so alone, and it made me feel sad, like I'm young, I'm trying to cope with this, I'm trying to like navigate my own feelings, and I'm trying to navigate this new, you know, feeling. Cause for me, like my mom had always told me like you used to be super active, you used to be super happy and blah blah blah. And then as soon as I got diagnosed with depression, it's just like everything went downhill for me, and I never really I'm not gonna say never got out of that pit. I am content with life now. Like there is times where like I'll fall into that state of mind where I'm just depressed, but I now as I grew older and I have found, you know, people that have actually cared about me and actually do want to see me do good in life and everything. It's easy for me to bounce back from those depressive episodes.
Yeah, I mean, and it goes back to, I mean, you're supposed to rely on family to
Mhm.
support you. And I mean, sometimes there are friends who will be there more than your own family.
And that's why like whenever people say like sometimes, you know, family isn't you can choose your own family, and I it's for me like they always say blood is thicker than water, but that's not really true.
Yeah.
And for me, like, there has been friends that I have met in life. There's one of my best friends. I'm not gonna really talk about this experience that I went through because it is something that it's still heavy and it's still, something that I'm coping with. But thanks to my best friend, I've known her for years and she saved my life basically. She lives in Texas and there was an incident that I um went through, and she, even though she lived in Texas, she called the police and got me help and got me, safe. She got me to a safe spot, and thanks to her, like, I wouldn't be like, if it weren't for her, I wouldn't be alive. I wouldn't be alive if it weren't for her calling the police and, getting me that help that I needed.
Yeah.
And for me, she's like a sister to me. And no matter what, it's always gonna be a friend.
Yeah.
That's
For the
gonna,
most
like,
part.
for the most part, friends are sometimes not
Yeah.
your true, like, family, like your only family, but for me, like, there's a lot of friends that I consider family.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have one friend who, I mean, through thick and thin,
And I mean, me and my best friend have argued a lot and, like, kind of like stopped talking a bit. And she has still, we've worked it out, we've talked it out, and we're still friends to this day. Like, no matter how long we go without talking, we're still friends.
yeah, I mean, I have a friend like that it's like it's ride or die. It's like, dude, like something just it's 2 in the morning. I get a phone call. I'm right there. Like,
Mm.
hey, like, dude, I'm like in a ditch, like dying. Like, okay, hold on. I don't have no like experience in like paramedic, but hey, I'm there. Doesn't matter what time. I've always told her, and that's the thing. It's like when you really try to consider a person like family, it's like, dude, doesn't matter what time it is, doesn't matter where you are. It's like I'll be there, you know. And I have a pretty big family, and I don't ever feel like I've been more connected with any of them than with her.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I'm like, dude, at this point, you're my fucking sister. At this point, like, dude, you're fucking family to me. I'm so sorry. I'm supposed to be cussing. Bleep that out later. But and it's like that's that feeling. It's like we share the same loneliness. Like, hey, her and I shared like what I would think is not the same dad, but a very similar dad with similar behaviors. And I think with a lot of us, it's like we have that Mexican dad that has the machismo in them. That's like, hey, I'm gonna treat you bad because I can, and you're my daughter, and you have to take it. And it's like, what? Like, no, feminism doesn't exist in this house. And okay, I think I'm getting a little too carried away inside what happens inside my own home. But we share that thing, and it's like, dude, like it's 2025, dude. It's like, dude, men are shit. It's be embarrassing to have a boyfriend today.
Hey.
Whoa, no.
No offense, Johnny.
No offense, Johnny,
offense.
man.
A lot of guys be going through this as well, guys. So
Oh, that's another thing I wanted to talk about. Is like the female loneliness is completely different from the
oh
male.
no, yeah, for sure.
So that's another thing I wanted to ask you. Like,
I feel like for guys, I wouldn't say it's harder to get like. Damn, I hate getting close. I feel like it's harder to make more friends as a guy because I don't know if you guys ever noticed, but for guys, you'd have to have like to make other friends with the guys. You have to go to the gym, to gym or sports.
so guy stuff.
Have something
So guy
in
stuff
common.
basically. So for girls, I feel like it's easier for girls to make friends because it's either the guy likes you or that's my perspective. We all have different perspective, but it's more like the guy has interest in you or how do you
Different
explain it?
intentions.
It's like dating all
It's
over
just different
again.
extensions, yeah. That's what you never see. Like that's why it's always on TikTok. Like I always see, oh, girl and guy can never be friends. But in my head, it's just like as long as you guys are happy, then it's all that matters. Not any
So,
other intentions.
Personally, do you find it easier to be friends with a female than with a male?
Oh, well, of course. With guys, they always just want to do like gym, soccer. You can't really have a good conversation with them. That's
Yeah.
the thing. It's always it's either one has
What
put like
making
effort.
friends, like starting a friendship with a female.
Oh, it's way easier than guys. I want to say like it's more keeping up the conversation.
Mhm.
With girls, it's more it's keep the conversation because like they have so much going on. It's girl stuff. They got drama, tea, whatever they call it, cheese man.
Excuse me.
It's way easier than guys. He's not going up.
Oh, you can tell some of your friends cheese man later.
Oh no, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm assuming. I mean, so you're saying because you're saying it's easier to be friends with a female than a male, and you're saying all these guys want to do gym stuff. What do girls want to do
Oh no.
with you? Not that I mean like
Hey,
not like that.
We're gonna
Pause.
podcast.
Pause.
I take a pause right here, real quick. We're gonna go
A little
see
coffee break.
Little inside stories of what girls want to do with Johnny over here.
I feel like for
Ladies,
girls,
calm
it's more
down.
comfortable. For girls, it's more comfortable to talk to because they're more. Guys keep their emotions inside. That's the thing. I don't know. They're basically raised to keep their emotions inside, and girls they like expressing it. Like when they see like I don't know anyone they talk to, they like yapping to them like what's going on in their life. Guys they usually just keep it inside. That's what I hate about it. They go to the gym just to let that emotion be inside of them, and they don't really like talking about it. That's how you get closer to people. You gotta let like your emotions out. You gotta tell them about like what's going on and everything. That's how I connect more with my friends.
Yeah, well, like I was saying, my best friend is a female, and Yvonne's saying her best friend is also female. We're so sorry that we saw a bug, and I'm sorry. So my best friend is a female. Yvonne's is a female. Johnny is your best friend. I mean, I would assume it's a male, but from what I'm hearing, it sounds like it might be a female.
It's me, guys.
For best friends, I would say for best friends, I'd say my sister. She's my best friend. You know, I'd do anything for her. So truly, how Vaughn said it. What did you say? Blood is thicker than thin.
No.
Blood is thicker than
Than
water.
Yeah, no. For me, it's like I'd do anything for my family, even like doing dumb shit behind your back. But at the end of the day, like they've been
Yeah.
you since birth, since forever. So
Yeah.
you can never switch up on them.
I mean, it's like that one TikTok where it's like, oh, I'm just vibing here with my best friend. And then it's like, well, I'm definitely your best friend. It's like, I feel like that's the relationship I have with my brothers, where it's like, oh, hey, buddy, you want to sneak out? Don't worry, I got you. I won't tell like, I'll cover you for mom and dad, I don't think they do the same for me, but they're
I
like,
think
no, I really wanna go."
another like I'm not gonna say that like like outside of an actual friendship. Like yeah, my best friend, she's like my sister to me. I think like my true best friend is my cousin because
Mhm.
like I you know I tell her everything, she tells me everything, we tell each other everything, and we've always been like that. um like I've always tried to be a role model for her, not really a role model for her because I don't want people to follow in my footsteps in a way. So for me, like my cousin is my best friend, and I try to like for me, I try to better my life and I try to be my best version for her because I want to not set a good example because I know that like I've done wrong in life, but I just want to be better for them, if that makes sense.
No, I mean, that's another thing is, I feel like you feel lonelier when you've done like not bad stuff like, hey guys, I'm gonna go like snort a whole line of cocaine. No, I mean it's like when you do something, for example, and I'm just gonna put it out there. I just went through like finals, and it was so stressful, and I felt like nobody understood me. And it's like, dude, I just need 20 minutes to study this lecture. I just please, and it's these headaches that just nobody understands you because nobody's in your position. Nobody is going to school and going to work and helping your mom and helping your dad. And hey, they can't go out because of the ice raids. And hey, so you have to run their errands. You have to go wash their cars, pick up their medication. It's like, dude, I just need 20 minutes to finish this lecture. It's like you feel so alone. And then finally, when you're done, okay, I made it. And you go back and you look at your grades, and there's that one class that you really needed to pass. It's like, I could have done better. Like, if I just had those extra 10, 20 minutes to study, I could have passed it. And it's like, no, I feel like no one personally in my house understands me. And I can't go outside of my house and like tell like all my little cousins and nieces because they're all in high school and they don't understand what college is. And that's that part where it's like, dude, like no one understands me. I don't know if you guys go to college. I think Johnny, you did, right?
Fuck you.
Johnny's like, hell no, I would
No.
never go to college.
I didn't.
We did not go to college.
I'm working on it, so you're probably hearing like a bunch of like dummies with like no degrees. Like, what the heck are they talking about? Like, they just got together and started a podcast. Actually, we did. We were just got together one day. But I feel like a lot of this is something where people can relate to. I mean, Johnny, you've definitely felt loneliness, right? Okay. Spit on me.
I don't know, guys. Live in the moment. Don't think about the past.
Yeah.
I know this
that's another thing.
podcast is about our past. Right now we haven't been feeling this much lately, but it's mostly hard for me to talk about it. I mostly laugh everything off. Just live in the moment. But Vaughn's getting
He's about to
comfortable.
cry. No, that's another thing is I was gonna say is I saw this kid saying that he couldn't read. So whenever like Yvonne said, no, it's not that he couldn't read. He couldn't read. Cut. Editor's cut. I'm kidding. No, it's not that he couldn't read. But Vaughn said something earlier about popcorn reading, where hey, you got picked on to read, and he said that he had trouble reading some of the words. So what he would do is he would purposely pronounce the easy words wrong, and so the whole class would laugh. And so that would mask the fact that he actually didn't know how to read, and he'd be like the cat. I mean, I'm sure you've had kids like that in your class where they're messing like.
Those are the class clowns, though.
No, but that's
how
what
they do
I'm
it.
saying. That's what I'm saying. Is I heard a kid say that he would purposely mispronounce words that were easy so that they wouldn't know that he actually didn't know how to read. At least bigger words. But I mean, were you ever a class clown?
I was a class clown. That's why I know their intentions, how they are. But for me as well, I have this problem when I always laugh, like at everything. Like when I had friends in school, this was middle school, by the way. They would give you like an essay to do, like an English class, right, about a book. Knowing me, like in my head, it's like, it's just embarrassing, like going up and like presenting yourself in class, and I just start bursting laughing. That's how I get more in trouble. I start bursting laughing. I'm like, oh my god, this is embarrassing. So of course I got in trouble after, but it's just the thought of other person laughing. It just gets in your head, and then you start bursting laughing.
No, but you said earlier that, I think you'd prefer to laugh and just clown around than show your emotions.
No, yeah, of course. I don't know if anyone else has these thoughts, but it's better to laugh it off than talk about how you're feeling, and that's how it's better to live life for me.
Do you think a lot of boys or males do that?
Oh yeah, of course. I don't know if anyone's else we'll leave a link, see if anyone else feels this way. But if any guys out there want to talk about anything, let us know. I know most of you guys are hiding your feelings as well.
Yeah, I mean this line is anonymous, so you don't have to leave your name, number, or anything. It's on our Instagram, on our bio pic and everything. But yeah, I mean, nobody really knows exactly where to pinpoint your loneliness. You just you feel it at some point. You know what it is. It's not a good feeling, and it's something that it's like you can't stop it. You can't as much as you try, however hard you work, however hard you try to distract yourself, go to work, hang out with friends, just sometimes the loneliness is just right there, right behind you. And if no one else is there to catch you, it will catch you and it'll just consume you. And it's like I said earlier, you'll live your life and you'll watch yourself go to work and hang out with your friends, but yourself, your spiritual self just got left behind. That's how I feel.
No, yeah, but like I don't know if you've ever heard, but like always, text your friends, let them know like how they're feeling. Sometimes the person that's not the quietest is doing worse than the person that's the quietest. So usually like living, someone's sleeping back here.
No, Vaughn kind of fell asleep on us. She
guys.
thought our stories were too boring.
Sorry, guys. I'm a little tired from work.
No, but
But going back to what Johnny said, it doesn't hurt to check in on, your friends. Sorry,
Yeah.
we're recording in the car again, but um a quick text like, "Hey, how are you doing?" Just checking up on them goes long ways, and that's something
Mhm.
that, back like the times that like I've gone through hardships, I would have appreciated
Yeah.
that to get that from some friends that I deemed were friends that I'm no longer friends with, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. I know I've talked to Belle about, you know, something that I went through like after my breakup. Some of my friends were celebrating, and nobody, like those same friends, they saw me being a little miserable and kind of like, taking, being sad about my breakup. Because I mean, again, for me, like my ex was kind of like my first like real boyfriend and everything. And those are the same friends that like celebrated my breakup while I
Mhm.
was, dealing with that.
That's
And
another thing we're gonna talk about later in one of
yeah.
our podcasts is the friendships that we have. And whew, boy, we got stories for you. But I think that well enough wraps up our little take on loneliness. So with that being said, we will see you on our next episode next week in
The Bay
Zone.
Zone.
All right, have a good one, guys.
Bye.